And welcome back to the Listed Podcast, everyone. I'm Cameron Clark. That is actually Jackson Trotter. You never knew his first name is actually. We're excited for today's podcast. Today, we're ranking the top 5 what ifs in BYU history. But to start off, we want to give a big shout out to our associate producer, assistant producer, backup, or fill-in producer. I don't know what we call it.
GOAT. That's what we'll call it.
Okay, he's the GOAT. Mr. Benjamin Ward got married over the weekend, so shout out Mr. and Mrs. Ward, no longer in the singles ward, have moved over to the family ward. All of that is credit to Jackson.
Then I have to wonder what if they didn't get married.
That's true.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
Because they got married.
They did get married.
Congratulations, Ben and Mrs. Sister Ward as well. We're excited for you guys, and hopefully we can join the club someday.
Yeah. 3 months for me. Here we go. All right. Yes, you're giving us your list first today, right?
Yes, it is time. What ifs? This topic has been a lot of fun. I say that every week. But this one's been really fun because it's fun to kind of go through and be like, well, if this happened, the impact of this and like all of that. And that's kind of how I structured my list. It's the what ifs based on the impact that they would have if they happened. So I might get burned at the stake for a couple of these. I apologize in advance.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Send us the exact number of fire emojis that you would give Jackson to burn in at the stake.
Amen. And also the number of fire emojis you would give Cameron for ranking Will Farron the number 1 senior.
Hey, I stand by that still. He's number 1 in my opinion.
Jacob Long, let us know what you think. But okay, getting into my list. And again, remember, comment your lists.
Yes.
We would love to see them. And one day, the best list that we see will probably get a shout out on this show. So let's see them. Starting off, my what if list is going to come in at my honorable mention going back to 2016. What if Taysom Hill passed the ball on the 2-point conversion rather than calling his own number and running it against Utah in 2016? Or what if they just kicked the field goal and took overtime? I had to give it as an honorable mention because I don't think the impact is that great from this play. Like, we beat Utah. Probably. Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams in overtime in Rice Eccles Stadium. Yeah. With that team, with the way they were playing, BYU probably wins that game in overtime. But that moment was the first time in my fandom I remember watching and just being genuinely crushed. I remember watching the game. I was at my grandma's house, and her TV started to bug out. Like, as soon as Taysom got into his cadence. And I was like, well, and we missed the play. So I went downstairs to her TV in the basement and turned it on and like watched as Taysom Hill got thwarted on like the 2-yard line. It was devastating.
Freaking Cody Barton. First of all, he went to my rival high school as a Brighton Bengal. Now he's a Utah Ute and ruining BYU season. Like, that's the double whammy. Barton family's awesome. I went to school with one of the younger brothers, but still, that one hurts.
No, and it's okay. We've won 3 in a row now. It's been over almost 2,500 days since the U has won against BYU. So, Taysom, we've avenged you, but that is my honorable mention. Keeping with the Taysom Hill theme, my number 5. What if Taysom Hill did not get injured in 2014?
Okay. Number 5 on
Number 5.
Okay.
So this one is a lot of people probably have this one higher. But looking at the BYU's 2014 schedule, BYU went 8-4 in 2014.
Yes.
They started 4-0, lost to Utah State in the game Taysom broke his foot, and then went on to lose to UCF, Nevada, and Boise State all in succession. And then they rattled off, 5 straight wins to finish the season, and then lost the bowl game. 4 wins to finish the season, and then lost the bowl game. But I think with Taysom Hill on that team, I don't think they lose to Utah State. No. I don't think they lose to UCF. I don't think they lose to Nevada. Boise State, maybe.
So 25-point loss?
Yeah, 25-point loss to Boise. Does Taysom Hill make up for that? I think BYU probably runs the table there and maybe finishes 11-1 and goes to a bigger, high-quality bowl game with Taysom Hill on the roster. And then, of course, you wouldn't have the Memphis loss there as well.
You wouldn't have the brawl.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the brawl, the Miami Beach brawl. But that's a big what if. But because it also transcends the butterfly effect. Then he's not on the team in 2015. Then we don't have the Mangum Miracle 2 1 and 2. Then he's not on the team in 2016. There's no Taysom and Jamal. Jamal Williams probably doesn't come back in 2016 with no Taysom Hill and no Bronco Mendenhall and no Robert Anai. And then what happens to Kalani's career if he doesn't have Taysom and Jamal in his first year? And maybe they have a losing season in 2016 and then a losing season in 2017. All in all, for the good of BYU, it might be good that Taysom was on the team in 2016 for the longevity of the program. But it's fun to think like how differently that 2014 season would have gone. And maybe Taysom goes to New York as a Heisman finalist as well. He was getting hype. A Virginia linebacker after BYU beat Virginia. This is their 4th win of the season, right before Taysom got hurt. A Virginia linebacker said in a postgame interview, Taysom Hill's going to win the Heisman. He said that's the best athlete I've ever played in any sport. And he was.
Yeah.
We love Taysom.
Right before that Virginia game, he had the 9th best odds to win the Heisman.
Yeah. So who knows what could have happened? What if? It's a fun game to play. But going on to my number 4, this is another New Year's bowl game run that I think BYU would have gone on. What if the 2020 football season was not canceled? As in, they played their original schedule. Okay, so I have their original schedule written out as well as my win prediction. Now, again, I'm biased, huge BYU fan, but looking at what the BYU roster was in 2020, Tyler Algier, Zach Wilson, that a vaunted defense, like really, really great team. So starting off the season, they play at Utah. Utah wasn't great in 2020.
No.
And now COVID, it's hard, but I think that's a win. They play versus Michigan State. Michigan State comes to Provo. Michigan State's not been great. That's probably a win. They go to Arizona State. Arizona State was kind of in a down year. That was probably a toss-up, but I'm going to give it a win. They play at Minnesota. Minnesota finished the last season 10-2, tied for first in their division in the Big Ten. That's probably the one loss I'm going to give that team. And then versus Utah State, Missouri, and Houston, all 3 of those games are wins. They did play Houston, beat Houston. At Northern Illinois and at Boise State, both wins. Played Boise State, beat Boise State. San Diego State comes to Provo. I think that's a win. North Alabama comes to Provo. That's a win. Playing at Stanford, that's also a win. So that's an 11-1 record, which is what they ended up going in 2020. But there's no loss to Coastal Carolina. And then I think with this loss, that's a win over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Power 5 at the time teams. And I think that might be enough to get them into a New Year's Six bowl game for for 2020.
Yeah.
I think that team was talented enough and good enough. I just think that if they had played in a New Year's Six bowl game in 2020, maybe they come back, start the season ranked in 2021, and play in a New Year's Six bowl game again in 2021. Because I think if they had started ranked that year, they probably would have climbed and still been high enough to play in a bowl game.
Especially with the win against Utah earlier in the year.
Yeah, and Arizona State.
It's true.
Who were both really good. In 2021, they beat Utah, who won the Pac-12. I think Utah State won the Mountain West that year. They lost to Baylor, who won the Big 12. Like a lot of conference champs and a lot of success for BYU.
Yeah.
And Virginia was really good in the ACC that year as well. So that what if that could be 2 New Year's Six bowl appearances for BYU in back-to-back years. If the 2020 season had been played. Okay, now for my number 3. This one, I might offend some people with this one, but I think this actually has the biggest impact of anything on my list. What if BYU hired Norm Chow to be their head coach instead of Gary Croton when Lavelle Edwards retired? Norm Chow thought that it was his job to lose.
Yeah.
Norm Chow actually got very upset with BYU and left, and he came back to Provo for the first time this year in 2026. He spent 26 some odd years away from Provo because he got sour grapes. But Norm Chow's pedigree was insane. Norm Chow coached Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Ty Detmer, Robbie Bosco, and then Matt Leinart, and then who was the other guy at USC that won the Heisman? Palmer.
Oh, Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer. 3 Heisman Trophy winners.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
He helped build that amazing offense at USC while he was the offensive coordinator there. What if he takes over and is the head coach at BYU rather than Gary Crowton. Then we don't have the Crowton years, and then we don't have the Bronco years. And then maybe we go from Lavelle to Norm Chow to Kalani Sitake. Like, who knows? Who knows what that would look like?
Yeah.
And Norm never had a ton of success as a head coach.
No.
He always was a successful coordinator, and I think that's probably why he never was the head coach. But it's fun to kind of think, like, if the trajectory of BYU's program that Lavelle had it on, with like really good quarterbacks and good defense and playing at that high level, continued through those years. And I think Bronco Mendenhall was a great coach, and he has a good legacy, but he didn't continue Lavelle's legacy. He carved his own path. Norm Chow would have continued Lavelle's legacy. And what would things look like now if alumni relations had run through all of those years? Number 2, this one is probably one that a lot of people will agree with. But what if Jimmer had Brandon Davies in the 2011 NCAA tournament?
Shout out Jimmer. You liked our Instagram post last week.
This one is probably, in a lot of BYU fans' minds,
Yeah.
the biggest what if in BYU sports. Like, I'm sure it's on your list. I'm sure it's on Jarom's list. Like, what if he had him? And I was just looking at the NCAA tournament bracket. So BYU lost to Florida in the NCAA tournament in the Sweet 16. Jimmer carried them to the Sweet 16. BYU's only been to the Sweet 16, 3 times in the history of the program?
Yeah.
And Jimmer carried them. I think with Brandon Davies, they beat Florida. That was an overtime loss to Florida in the Sweet 16. I think they beat Florida, then go on to the Elite Eight. They're playing Butler. Maybe BYU beats Butler. And then Butler played VCU in the Final Four. Our chances of beating VCU, an 11 seed in the Final Four, I like those odds.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, BYU's in the championship game. Like, we're not just talking Final Four, we're talking playing UConn for the national championship. If Brandon Davies, a center of the offense, was still there. I think that BYU fans now know the importance of having a high-quality big man that can get it done. Brandon Davies would have made a splash in the tournament, and Jimmer mania would have carried BYU to the Final Four.
Yeah, I will say Brandon Davies' career has turned out to be pretty good.
I agree.
I follow up some app that lets me follow BYU guys in Europe and in Asia, and he's playing out in Japan right now. He's averaging some good numbers. Just got back from injury, so I'm excited to see that he's doing well. But I agree, that one will be on my list too. So I'll let you know where that is after you give me your number 1.
Yeah, my number 1, what if? And this is a sad one, but I think this has the biggest impact. What if Lavelle decided to punt on 4th down by 25 points? I think it was 25 points to SMU in the Miracle Bowl. Lavelle sent the punt team out, and Jim McMahon was like, no, stay on the sidelines. We're going to win this thing. We're going to come back and win. And BYU came back, making the most miraculous bowl victory in the history of college sports, in the history of football. The most miraculous comeback, the Miracle Bowl. BYU's first bowl win in 1980 put BYU on the map, beating SMU, who, by the way, was cheating, and SMU was a powerhouse because they were paying their players, but BYU was able to beat SMU, come back. Then in 81, they had a good season. 82, they had a good season. 83, Steve Young was the Heisman runner-up. Really good season, lost 1 game. 84, of course, won the national championship. But what if they lost the Miracle Bowl? Do those things happen? And then, if those things don't happen, what's BYU's legacy now? Probably not. They're probably not in the Big 12.
No.
Without that, they probably don't have a Heisman Trophy winner. Lavelle Edwards, the stadium probably would be named after him. The ripple effect, and that's what ifs on what ifs, but that's why that's got to be my number 1 what if in BYU sports history, just because of the sheer impact of.
I like that. You went a lot more historical. A lot of mine were more recent.
Okay.
Except for my number 5. So I'll go to my honorable mention. Similar to what you had a little bit with the 2020 season. Mine is, what if Dax Milne wasn't stopped 2 yards short?
Okay.
The final play against Coastal Carolina.
Huge.
So if BYU wins, that was the only game they lost that year.
Yeah.
Does BYU, was it Cincinnati that made the college football playoff that year? Was that the year? BYU then overtakes Cincinnati and makes their first college football playoff, puts BYU on the map, and then these next few years where, there definitely is bias against BYU. We're BYU fans. We don't care what you say about anything.
The media hates us.
But specifically about BYU football. But Ben gave us a thumbs down from behind the camera. What if he's not 2 yards short and BYU ends up going undefeated that year, right? They're playing in the college football playoff.
Yeah, definitely not
time.
playing in the Boca Raton.
No, although I will say that catch by
Lupini Katoa.
Oh my!
The full body layout.
That's
one of the greatest catches in
I
BYU
agree.
football history. Next week, top 5 greatest catches. Then
we'll see. We'll punt that one to another time. But yeah, so that's my honorable mention. I thought about maybe having BYU joining the Pac-12 at the same time as Utah as a what if, but I feel like, well, we talked and I asked you how many honorable mentions are you doing? You said just one. So I felt like it was the bigger what if was what if BYU had gone undefeated in 2020.
Yeah, oh man, who knows? Who knows what would have happened? Yeah. And at least they would have gone to a New Year's Bowl game, which gives BYU more credibility. All the Utah fans couldn't be like, we lost a New Year's Bowl game, so we're better than BYU. BYU would have at least been able to have played in one, but
yeah.
But I also think with the Pac-12 thing and independence, it would be interesting to see the state of the BYU and Utah rivalry.
Yeah.
If BYU hadn't been independent for all those seasons and they were getting the same amount of money and in the Pac-12 together, and would the Pac-12 exist today if they had invited BYU? And I think it would.
Yeah.
Because they would have had another strong team that could have helped bolster that, especially after USC and UCLA and Washington, Oregon left. Maybe the Pac-12 survives and the Big 12 doesn't.
That's a good point. Very good point right there. That brings me to my number 5. I originally had this at number 3, but I'm bumping it down. What if BYU didn't go for 2 against Utah in 2016? Right? Colby Pearson runs on late. I was watching the play yesterday, and they only had 10 out in the field for the first, until the play clock hit 18 seconds. And Colby Pearson all of a sudden runs out. If Colby Pearson doesn't run out late, does Taysom have time to check, see that a blitz is coming and audible out of it? Do they call a timeout? Do they let the clock run out and just kick the extra point? Jake DeMake is coming off a field goal against Arizona to win the game, field goal. Right? So what happens there? All of a sudden Utah's win streak stops at 5. Right, and then BYU jumps back into the win column, and Taysom Hill gets his only win against Utah.
Yeah, could you imagine the jet fuel that would have put in Kalani Sitake's career and in his moment?
Brand new coach, finally beats Utah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And that, I think, is the biggest reason is the fact that, it could have stopped the streak at 5.
Yes. Well, and then the monkeys off the back, and then maybe in 2017, with how abysmal they were, they could have won, or 2018. I think if they win in 2016, they finish the job in 2018 and win that game. So it's a slippery slope of what ifs, but
that's what this whole episode's about.
Taysom, I love you.
Me too, actually. But think about just that whole year. So they lose to Utah by 1. Then you lose to the Chosen Rosen and UCLA by 3. And West Virginia by 3. And then Boise State by 1. Your 4 losses that year were by a combined 8 points.
Yeah.
If BYU ends up beating Utah, does that momentum carry them and allow them to beat, Josh Rosen, allow them to beat Boise State, allow them to beat Skylar Maine, I think is the quarterback, and West Virginia?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe BYU goes undefeated that year too.
There are not mistakes made before.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then if they go undefeated in 2016, like what does that do for recruiting?
Yeah.
What does that do for Kalani's legacies? If they go undefeated in 2016, are people already saying that Kalani's better than Lavelle Edwards right now at this point in his career?
Who knows?
Who knows?
It's a fun thing.
This is so fun. Like, comment your lists.
We'll go to number 4. So this one is my one throwback. What if BYU baseball didn't have to play on Sunday in 1958? So BYU had won District 7 and beaten Colorado State College, which is now Northern Arizona. And the team is, they've won their conference, they've won their district, and they've earned a spot in the College World Series. They find out part of their schedule has them playing on Sunday. They make a call to the NCAA saying, hey, we weren't aware this was going to happen. Can we get our games changed? We feel it's a Christian value and something that we believe in strongly as a school that we don't play on Sundays. The NCAA told them, nope, not going to happen. So President Wilkinson pulls up all the funds and says, hey, we'll pay for extra travel and things so you don't have to worry about that. And they're like, nope, sorry, if you can't play on Sunday, you forfeit your spot. So ultimately, BYU holds a team meeting and they forfeit their spot.
Wow.
And this was their first time they earned a spot in a national championship in school history.
Wow.
They made the 1955 or 51 NIT. I think it's the 51 NIT, but NIT, National Invitational Tournament.
Yep.
They were invited. This was the first time they'd earned a spot to play on a national championship stage in the College World Series. And They didn't get a play. In 1961, the same thing happened. They were coming off a 24-game win streak, swept conference play, the longest win streak in the nation, according to the records I could find. And they didn't even get invited to play in the district because they knew that they would have to play on a Sunday. So the district was like, we'll just invite someone else.
Yeah.
So what happens in those 2 years? Does BYU baseball put themselves on the national stage? Does BYU baseball get a couple more guys into the major leagues? There's a huge recruiting presence. A lot of scouts.
Winning a College World Series, playing in a College World Series.
There's a lot of scouts in Omaha, so who knows what would have happened for BYU baseball. I'm a big BYU baseball guy, so that's why I chose that. But kind of something not a lot of people know about. 1958, BYU would have gone to the College World Series if games were not held on Sunday. So 1961, then, after they didn't play in district, that's when the BYU rule came about, allowing schools to petition every year to not play on Sunday. So,
and that's awesome. And I don't mean to get churchy or anything, but I do think it's cool that BYU stood by their values and chose to not play on Sunday. Like, sports are not the most important thing in the world. There are so many things that are more important, and our faith is one of those things, and BYU will never play on Sunday in anything.
Yeah.
But, and that just goes to show that.
And I wish they would do something at Miller Park, maybe something on the wall, like 1950, although, they made the College World Series, they didn't participate in it, but they made the College World Series, right? So I wish that there would be something kind of on the wall
to honor
that team.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, okay. So that brings me to number 3, which is the COVID March Madness 2020 season. Yoli Childs, Alex Barcelo. I don't know if Matt Harms was on the team that year.
I don't think he was yet.
Okay. But BYU is on a hot streak, and all of a sudden the world shuts down Tuesday, March 13th. ESPN a couple weeks later did a simulation since they didn't have March Madness. They took Joe Leonardi's latest bracketology, BYU. You'll never guess what seed they were.
6.
They were a 6 seed. And they did the one simulation, and BYU made it to the national championship game.
Really? I didn't know
where
that.
They lost to Wisconsin in the national championship.
Wow. That's crazy.
So, again, that's just one simulation, but that's the first simulation.
Yeah, hang the banner.
That they did. So BYU would have made it to a national championship, according to ESPN BPI Simulator.
I don't think there's a hotter team in college basketball than BYU in 2020.
I would have
just beat Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They kind of fizzled in the WCC tournament, and that's actually why I left them off my list, is because they did fizzle a little bit in the WCC tournament, but seeing them in the NCAA tournament, I think they probably looked beyond the WCC tournament and were just ready for that. For March.
Yeah.
And
then March never came. All right, that brings me to number 2. You talked about it. What if Brandon Davies didn't break the honor code in the 2011 season? Would BYU have gotten past the Sweet 16, right? BYU had a center that really didn't play a whole lot. They were a team that loved to stretch the floor, quick pace. Brandon Davies was great at making that happen, and with him out of the lineup, it becomes a lot harder, and ultimately, like you said, they lose to Florida by 9. So you dove into that a lot, but I'll jump into my number 1. What if Utah State didn't exist?
I pray for that every day.
Here's what I mean by it. 2012. Taysom Hill tears his meniscus or MCL. I don't remember which one. Tears some ligament.
I hope it wasn't his meniscus.
Or maybe it was something with his foot. Misses the last 6 games plus the bowl game. 2014, breaks his leg. Misses the last 7 games plus the bowl game. 2015, injured in the first game of the year at Nebraska, so that one doesn't really count. 2016, has right arm soreness or tore something in his arm and his shoulder.
He hyperextended his elbow.
And so Utah State was the last game of the year, and Taysom ends up not playing in the bowl game, where Tanner Mangum leads BYU to a victory over Josh Allen, Wyoming.
Yeah.
But that's, what if Taysom never got injured all those years? Would he have been a Heisman? That's why I wore my Taysom jersey today, right? Would, Jamal Williams and Taysom have become the best running duo in college sports ever?
Yeah. Oh, I think that in BYU history, the best quarterback running back duo for sure. But I remember feeling I said in 2016, that was my first time really feeling like a loss.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, I remember feeling that, but I didn't finish that game because I got so mad when Taysom Hill got hurt. I got so upset. The 2 of the boys on Utah State's team actually were my dad's boss's sons.
Okay.
And so on Utah State's team, and they hated BYU. and they were so mean. One of them, I think, actually was involved in the tackle when Taysom got hurt.
Dang.
And I remember punching my pillow and I was like, I hate those guys, and like being so upset. Like, and I'm from Ogden. Like, a lot of people in Ogden like Utah State and cheer for Utah State. There's a lot of hate up there, and Utah State just hates BYU. Like, Utah competes with BYU and it's a rivalry, but Utah State just hates BYU. And it's tough. And if they didn't injure Taysom, then the trajectory of BYU football, I think, would be different. And I think my opinion of Bronco Mendenhall would be different. I think that Bronco's legacy would be better if Taysom had been healthy. And would Taysom Hill be a quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah.
If he had
Taysom Hill doesn't go to the Saints if he plays.
Yeah.
All those
He's probably drafted in 2014 to who knows? Who knows who?
Yeah, there's our list. So we're excited. We've got a fun guest list for everyone today. We've got the man himself, the star of the safety zone. Situational. No, he's obedience. Sorry, Jarom. Well, that sounds like it's the guest list.
The guest list has arrived.
Let's go, Jackson.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You want to take it away?
Of course. So this is our man, host of the safety zone, and BYU Sports Nation on the side, Jarom Jordan. I think it's funny whenever I have AirPods in and I get a text from Jarom, Siri reads the text to me as from Jarom Jordan. I think that's pretty funny. But
I don't see Jarom Jordan in your contacts. I don't want to read messages from.
Thank you, sir. That was not planned at all, by the way.
Okay. So Jarom is sending our producer Ben Ward is sending us Jarom's list right now. But let's get started with number 5. Jarom didn't send us any honorable mentions, but number 5, BYU doesn't get Bear Bachmeier from Stanford.
See, that is such a good one because I don't think they go out and get another quarterback.
No,
and they end up with McKay Hillstead, which. He's at Utah State this year. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But I don't think they're in a position where they win 4 games.
No, they're in Texas Tech shoes this season. And
although Texas Tech has a capable back.
They do have a capable backup. And McKay Hillstead can sling the rock. I will say, he's just my height. And I'm not tall.
No, he's not.
But I think that was a godsend.
Yeah.
Like, having Bear Bachmeier was a godsend. But, okay, we have number 4. This was on Cam's list.
Yep.
What if BYU is invited to the Pac-12 2011 instead of Utah? Instead of Utah.
That changes the game.
That does change the game. I
don't know where to go with that.
I think that because I think that a lot of times people look at the BYU-Utah rivalry, and at least for me, I see and I'm like, Kyle Whittingham's a really good coach, and Kyle Whittingham knew how to beat BYU. And I think that to a certain extent, that's true. But I also, as much as I hate to admit it, Utah was getting like $10 million a year more than BYU because they were in the Pac-12. And that makes a difference.
It does.
And if BYU was there and BYU's brand, and I think Utah played a big role in the Pac-12 dissolving, because it was the University of Utah that came and was like, we did this study and we value our program at like $40 million a year or some huge like SEC Big Ten level number. And so that they started asking for that money, and then the other teams were like, oh, well, if Utah deserves that, I think we deserve that. And then they split and broke up.
Yeah.
So the Pac-12 probably still exists today.
The real question is if Stanford and Cal had let BYU in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So I think that's why BYU wasn't able to get in, is Cal and Stanford weren't fans of BYU getting in the Pac-12.
Again, BYU taking one on the chin for Jesus. The faith. Sorry, I don't mean to be too lighthearted there. But we've got number 3.
Okay, what is it?
Are you ready for number 3? This one, Jarom shared this one with me earlier today, and I liked this one. What if Zach Wilson goes 3rd to the Niners instead of 2nd to the Jets?
This is we were talking about this with Owen last week.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy all of a sudden never comes to San Francisco, and Brock Purdy ends up in Houston for some reason. And, the Texans find their star, and then, but this isn't about the Texans. This is about Zach Wilson and the Niners. He was able to play under Kyle Shanahan, and really it's just Zach Wilson didn't deserve the Jets.
No.
The Jets, they ruined his career.
Yep.
And, maybe he's not all that we hoped he would be as BYU fan, but I think going to New York in the situation he was in did not put him in a good place to succeed in the first place, and his career just went downhill from there.
Zach Wilson would be Brock Purdy. if he had gone to the 49ers. He would have led them to the Super Bowl. Zach Wilson is more talented than Brock Purdy.
I agree with that.
Zach Wilson, his arm is amazing. But he just went and had no time in the pocket in New York, had no weapons in New York. Garrett Wilson was his only weapon. I think if he goes to San Francisco in a better system with better fans too, what New York did to Zach's mental health, I can't imagine. That's terrible. I think that Zach Wilson I think he'd have a Super Bowl ring.
Okay.
If he played in San Francisco. I think that the Niners beat was it the Chiefs that they lost to?
I think so, yeah.
In the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. I think with Zach Wilson they beat the Chiefs.
Okay.
Now I put the goggles on. I'm a BYU guy, but I like that. We have number 2.
What is it? Taysom Hill never gets hurt once. Okay. See, Jarom, I think this one should be number 1. I'll let this slide for you. Spencer, as I not having a little friend, I will never let that slide. But yeah, I think we talked about this one, right? Taysom never gets hurt. I think he has an opportunity to win a Heisman. Who knows if he stays all 5 years at BYU, right? What happens there? Does his number get retired? And maybe it still will one day, right? Mm-hmm. You need at least 15 years till you're gone. But I don't know, does BYU end up going undefeated in 2016? With a healthy Taysom Hill. I mean, he was healthy for most of the year, right? Mm-hmm. But that last game, who knows if he isn't worried, and if he doesn't have that injury history, maybe he's able to play a little bit more and go all out. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like if Taysom never gets hurt, he wouldn't be on the team in 2016.
No.
Or 2015, right? Because 2014 would have been his senior season. I think that they go undefeated in 2014 and run the table and will win like a New Year's Bowl game, and that all of a sudden is like that's huge for BYU's program, and it validates independence if they can.
I agree.
But we have number 1. I'm sure you can guess it. Number 1. What if Brandon Davies plays through 2011 March Madness?
Yeah. That would be BYU one chance. I don't know if they'll ever have another chance as good as that. Even with this year's team, I think there were so many good teams at the top this year that I don't know if BYU was able to crack the Final Four. But I think that year, Mountain West, that was their one chance to crack the Final Four. It's going to be a while, I think, before BYU's ready at that spot again.
I agree. Well, I think the Big 12 is you saw it this season, is so tough. You have to play at such a high level for so long to just survive. And so then injuries come with that. BYU went 500 in Big 12 play, which it's 500.
Yeah.
Right? But injuries mount. In the Mountain West, injuries never, it's not the same level of play.
No.
And so it's too bad. Rest in peace, Brandon Davies, Jimmer Fredette, Jimmer Mania. It was a good run. One of the best moments in BYU sports history.
I agree.
Probably. Wasn't on my list last week, but one of the best moments. But I think that with Brandon Davies, again, they go to the Final Four and probably beat VCU.
Probably.
And go to the championship game.
I like where your head's at. That is the guest list. So what do you say we check it twice right here and let's compare lists with everyone. So remind us again of your top 5. We'll throw out the honorable mentions since Jarom did have an honorable mention. What were your I guess it's on the screen right now. You all can see it.
Mm-hmm.
But show me, I guess we can just look at these so we can have a reminder.
Okay. So like I said, I was going off of sheer impact, and I viewed it kind of in a negative light. I got in this mindset. I asked ChatGPT for their top 5 what ifs, which are kind of silly. Like one of them was like, what if Jim McMahon never got hurt? I didn't know Jim McMahon got hurt in 1981.
I don't think he did.
Okay, so my number 1, what if BYU lost the Miracle Bowl? The impact that would have. Number 2, what if Jimmer had Brandon Davies through all of March Madness? Number 3, what if BYU hired Norm Chow instead of Gary Croton? Number 4, what if the 2020 football season was played out with the original schedule? And then number 5, what if Taysom never gets injured?
Yeah. Okay, I had Taysom never getting injured at number 1. Brandon Davies at number 2. The COVID March Madness year at number 3, which I was shocked that Jarom didn't have that one on there as well. Number 4, I had the Sunday play rule with BYU baseball, and then number 5 if they didn't go for 2 against Utah in 2016. And then you have Jarom's list right in the middle right here. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? My first take is Jarom deserves the number 1 spot.
Yeah, Jarom's list is great.
I didn't think about Bear Bachmeier. I thought about Jake Retzloff, like, what happens if Jake Retzloff never leaves? But I didn't think about it if Bear transferred.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. The fact, and the fact BYU got Bear Bachmeier, like, he wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
That wasn't the plan. Like, it worked out so well. That could be, and depending on how Bear's career goes out, that could be the number one.
Yeah,
what if?
That's true.
I think in terms of, I like my list the best, I will say, in terms of, like, overall impact on BYU's athletic department. But mine aren't as fun.
Yeah.
I'll say. I'll give you that. Mine aren't as fun.
I'm gonna put mine at number 2, personally, right behind James.
Okay.
We've got some controversy here.
No.
I'm
just kidding.
I don't know. I think if we look at it from like the Taysom Hill, because that was Jarom's number 2. If we want to base it off of that, I had that one higher on my list than you did. We both had Brandon Davies at number 1.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that could be a way we rank it going forward. If we feel like the guest list is number 1, we look at, okay, what did they have at 1? Who had it higher?
Yeah. No, I think that works. And I think I did had Taysom at number 5.
Yeah.
Which I could have put Taysom higher. I think I valued the weight of the 2020 season greater than the weight of the 2014 season. And so that kind of, that's why you number 5.
I feel like that's fair.
But, again, what if?
I think this is as close to a tie as far as our list go as we've had.
Yeah.
But I like mine a little bit more than I like yours, so I'm putting mine
in. Okay, Cameron.
Yeah, I'm getting the big head here. Owen's not here to rein me back in. And Ben's always been on my side. He agrees that Will Farron is the number 1 senior at BYU.
Will Farron, if you're watching this, know here at Listed, we value you.
Yes.
We appreciate you and we love you. But you weren't the best senior at BYU. You weren't an Olympian, Will. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, William. Not an Olympian.
Sorry, James Corrigan didn't sign as an undrafted free agent to the Jets.
Okay. He ran in the Olympics. Okay, and top 5 mentions of the senior.
Yeah. No. Go back and watch that episode. Go back, watch all of our episodes if you haven't already. Give us your list in the comments, Jacob. We love getting your list each week. Comment on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, wherever you're seeing our stuff. We've hired a digital producer now, so we're super excited about that. We're going to get some reels coming out for you guys. But without further ado, I believe it's time for the blind rankings.
Yeah, this is one of our very favorite segments. Ben Ward, we've talked about him quite a bit today. Ben's a good guy.
Yes.
He is handling our blind ranking today, and so he is going to send us he's going to send us our topics. And as a reminder, we don't know the category and we don't know what is coming next. This is a pure blind ranking.
You know, after hearing Jackson's take about Zach Wilson would have a Super Bowl if he was back to the Niners, I think we should do top 5 hottest takes on Listed podcast. We'll save that.
That's number 1. Will Farron's only number 2.
Okay.
Okay, your first items for your list.
Okay.
First person, Lee Kamari.
Okay.
I think we're probably going to coach.
That's what I'm thinking. I like this one.
I like
especially
Lee
with
Kamari.
the recent hire of Natalie Brooklyn.
Yes.
In the 16.
If I were to rank, I'd say Kalani Sitake is number 1, Kevin Young number 2, Lee Kamari number 3. So I'm going to put Lee at number 3.
I think that's some good logic. I'll agree with you there. I'll put Kamari.
Oh, actually, I'm going to put him at number 4.
Ooh, I'm putting him at 5.
We forgot about track.
Although,
or maybe Ben's cooking something up and is taking something completely out of left field here. He's doing former BYU Mets basketball.
I'm going to keep him at 3, actually.
Okay.
All right. And now we have Jennifer Rockwood.
Oh,
I forgot about her too. Oh, crap.
Lee Kamard, honorable mention. No, I'm going to put Jen at number 3.
I'm going to put her at number 5. I think she's been good and consistent. There's some other coaches I have that are a little bit higher than where I have her.
Now, Jennifer Rockwood is the only women's soccer coach BYU's ever had.
That's true.
She's built that program out of nothing.
Yeah.
So I think there's an argument for her to be like the greatest coach at BYU.
I agree.
Except she has no hardware. I think that's the...
Well, they just won the Big 12 championship, and they made it to the national championship.
That's a good point.
No other coach at BYU has made it to
They played in the College Cup.
Yeah.
They've been to 2 College Cups, right? And the national championship game. So Jennifer Rockwood's done amazing things. But
okay, Kalani Sitake.
Kalani
He's
Sitake.
the crumble man himself. I was reading an ESPN article earlier today, and they mentioned the biggest coaching news from the offseason, and the second word was crumble. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, 1 for both of us for Kalani.
I'm gonna put him at 2.
Really?
I think again, if I'm gonna, Kalani does have 0 hardware. Kalani's won bowl games and he has good recruits, and
hey, no other coach has a toaster other than though.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. And I think Kalani will win the Big 12.
Yeah.
I think Kalani will take BYU to the college football playoff, will win a New Year's bowl game, and maybe a national championship. Maybe. I could see it, genuinely, I could see it happening. But right now in the status quo, he doesn't have any of that. So.
I agree.
Hey, Kevin Young.
I'm putting Kevin Young at number 4 below Lee Cummard. And why? Because Kevin Young had a little bit of a year or two fall off where Lee Cummard did something that no other head coach had done for the BYU women's basketball team. And so right now, Kevin Young's obviously been able to do things that no other coach at BYU has done. But if we're just looking from a performance on the field, then maybe I'll change the way I rank things when we come out with our actual list. I have Kevin Young at number 4 behind Lee Cummard.
I've got him at number 5 behind Lee Cummard. I only have the 1 spot open. But Kevin Young, Lee Cummard's done more with less, I think.
Yeah.
And Kevin Young has done less with more. And so I got to put him at number 5.
That's a good way to put it.
So Jackson has the 1 slot open. Cam, what do you have open?
2.
2. Is there anybody we're hoping for?
Diljit Taylor?
Yeah, I'm hoping for Diljit Taylor.
Diljit's going to bring us home.
Let's go.
Yeah. I like where I'm sitting with this.
I think Kalani and Diljit Taylor are interchangeable at 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I'd probably put Kevin Young at number 3.
I don't know if I would.
But I think Diljit Taylor has national championships. She has the pedigree. Now, it's tough because, yes, they have a national championship, but who weights a national championship, a cross-country national championship, the same as a football national championship? One is going to be displayed in the BYU store, and one will be talked about in a headline on BYU Sports Nation. So, how do you weight things? But Diljit Taylor, what she has done at BYU, she's the only non-member coach, head coach
ever.
In BYU's whole athletic department. And she's just, the way she motivates, her and Kalani, I think, are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, they're builders of people.
Yes, and that's what BYU's all about.
Yes.
So
our list was actually coaches of most likely to eat all time.
No! Let's go! I win.
So, Diljit, I'm sorry, I don't think she. In that case, never mind. Okay, so it's top 5 current coaches.
TJ Woods up in number 1.
And so, okay, I think that this is.
See it right there.
It's okay. Not my greatest list. This one will be fun.
I'm excited. Wow. Yeah. Share this episode with your friends. Everybody share it with Ben's friends. Share it with his wife. Maybe, I don't know if she's ever seen the podcast.
Wife?
Yeah.
Oh,
she has seen the podcast.
Watched it.
She agrees with me about Will Ferrin. Now, thank you, sister.
Absolutely not.
Apparently she doesn't. One day I'll find someone to agree with me. But Jackson, any parting words before we leave?
Thanks for tuning in, and shout out to Will Caltrin.
That's true. Yeah. Will, love your comments, and thanks for watching every week.
Yeah. This has been Listed. Have a great week.